Welcome to day 3, folks, of the Special Projects Pack number 2 builds, and this time we're moving on to another one of the cars that I actually did the design for. I did more out of these 10 than I did last month, 3 of them in fact. This one is a car which some of you might not be as familiar with. It's a replica of the Mitsubishi FQ440 MR. A lot of people have heard of the FQ400. The FQ440 is like the rarest one of all, the quickest one of all. It's only finished in white, as far as I know, and it's one of those builds which kind of looks like I didn't really do that much. It just looks like a 440 horsepower Evo that's painted white, but it was actually a lot more of a pain in the backside than that. Finding an FQ440 badge to put on the license plate, tuning it to make the diff feel appropriate to the car. It was more effort than you'd think for an Evo. So as far as the tuning goes, of course, just jump over to the link in the description and you can grab the design from my page. I was surprised that no one else seems to have done an FQ440. There are a few FQ400s though, so it depends what kind of visuals you want to go for, I guess. And you could kind of turn this into an FQ400 build if you give it a little bit less power, but that's down to you. So we've got the sports silencer fitted, sports pads, because again it is a road car, you don't want it to feel too crazy. We have kept the sports hard tyres as well for the same reason. As far as the club sports section, we've got the sports brakes, the sports clutch and flywheel. I do have the restrictor, as I often like to have as an option, but we're not actually using it on this build. We've got the ballast fitted as well. As far as the semi-race, we've got the crank, the fully customised computer. I do have the semi-racing silencer, but it isn't fitted. I just fitted them both to measure the difference in power and the visuals, so you don't actually need to buy that. We've got the sports intercooler, medium range turbo. Some people might prefer the high or the low. I've gone for medium, so it's kind of that balance in between. We've got the fully customised diff, and as far as the racing stuff, balanced tuning, polish ports, racing filter, manifold, the fully customised suspension, and the torque vectoring centre diff. Perhaps surprisingly, I have not touched the transmission. Because again, if this is the first special project of mine that you've clicked on, this is not designed to feel like a modified FQ440, it's designed to feel like what a stock FQ440 would feel like in the game. So as far as the extreme stuff, none of that is fitted either. So relatively simple, not too expensive to build either. Then if we jump back to the garage after you've slapped the visuals on as well, and fairly obviously you don't need the wide body for this one. If we jump into the tuning section, we've got the sports hards fitted, fully customised suspension. I've got the ride height as low as it can go on the front, and then on the back just a little bit higher. It still looks fairly even in practice though. Then as far as the anti-roll, I've increased that to 5, 37 on the compression, 44 on the expansion or the rebound, 2.45 for frequency, only 1 degree of camber. I've got 0.4 toe in on the back, 0.4 toe out on the front. Then as far as the diff, this is where things get interesting, because the weird thing about the Mitsubishi Evo is you'd think it would be a fantastic car to tune the diff on because it's already so good with 4-wheel drive and the grip and the handling, but I actually find Evos to be kind of a pain to tune because they have so many active systems working that you can easily mess it up and make it kind of twitchy. So I tested a number of different methods. This is the one that I like the most, which is the lowest settings on the rear, 40 on the front, and a 50-50 split. So before you try anything else or have any other ideas, I'd recommend taking this out, give it a try, see what you think. If you don't like it, then you can mess around. But again, I wanted it to be much more stable and much more consistent than the standard handling. Because at the end of the day, the FQ440 is pretty much a Nissan GTR level machine. So it needs to perform like that. It needs to be aggressive, consistent, but also forgiving and super grippy. Obviously, the NOS isn't fitted. I've left the transmission standard. Some people might opt to change that. You know, I wouldn't necessarily knock you for doing so I'll leave that down to you. Top speed doesn't really matter though, so that's the main reason why I didn't adjust it. For the power restrictor, it isn't touched, like I said. The ballast I've put all the way to the back with 75 kilos. Now, online weights do vary, but from what I could find, 1605 seems to be the rough real weight of the car. For the ECU, you want to set it on 99%. Technically, we are a little bit overpowered at 442 instead of 440, but that's about as close as I could get it to 440 without sacrificing anything needed, like the bigger turbo and the racing exhaust, or the sports exhaust, I should say. So it's always a balance of getting the right sound, the right look, and the right spec, but that's about as close as I got to it. For the downforce, we've got 40 on the front and then matching 40 on the rear, and of course, you'll get that automatically. Well, you won't get the setting, but you'll get the aero parts fitted if you download the design. The medium RPM turbo, Anti-lag is standard on this one anyway, so I've got it set on weak. You could go to strong if you want, I'll leave that up to you. We've got the sports intercooler, of course, as I said, the silencer, the air filter, you can see all the stuff that we've fitted, and all of these additional ones down here. So that's it for the build. Like I said, relatively simple, less than 570 points, so not really that crazy on the point level either, so certainly could be a useful machine. And speaking to that point, let's jump out to Suzuka to see what it can actually do. So like I said, in practice, I wanted this car to feel appropriately fast, appropriately aggressive, but also in that very much Evo kind of way, really forgiving, really consistent, and also fairly neutral. You know, the Evo, and again, speaking to the Evo 7 that I had, speaking to what I've heard other people say, and even journalists say, the Evo has fairly neutral handling. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. At least that's what it aims for. With the Evo 10, it's a little bit more temperamental, from my experience. It doesn't react to tuning in the way that you might expect, which is why I took a little bit longer on this one to really get it as I wanted it. I could definitely see some people finding this maybe a little bit too heavy, a little bit too much understeer, especially exiting corners, so if you do want to change it around and swap out some settings, absolutely go for it. But like I said, I wanted it to feel more like a road car, not a tuned car, you know, and also to feel fast, but not too fast in a weird kind of way. You don't want it to feel like a race car. It is still a road car at the end of the day, but you do want it to be that much quicker. So of course, that's it for what I've done. Give it a try. If you like it, absolutely tell me down below. If there's anything that you found beneficial to change, or that you think other people might benefit from, drop that in the comments as well. And of course, if you haven't checked out the other builds that I'm doing this week and that I've already done, be sure to check those out on the channel. And of course, until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.